This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, playing Alarak. We have Spooky. And player 2, playing Artanis. We have Viperian. So the first thing that you will know is that there is a set of mutators on the side. This game is actually has actually been played on a weekly mutation. This weekly mutation is called Well Trained, and there are 3 mutators active. We have Inspiration, we have Aggressive Deployment, we also have Avenger. So this is a Rockslapping Champion episode as well as a special mutation cast. Let's have a look at the masteries while the players get everything set up. Alarak is a level 274 Alarak, and he has the Alarak attack damage, the Deathfleet cooldown, and the Overcharge mastery over here. For this kind of mutation, when you have the Inspiration, Avenger, Aggressive Deployment, really nasty set of mutators, probably the Empower Me duration might be a little bit better if you need to clear the waves, especially the double train wave. They can get pretty nasty, but I think the Deathfleet cooldown will be used so that the Deathfleet can be spammed, and that'll provide it'll just provide a front line for Alarak to be able to hold throughout the course of the mission. Artanis is a level 89 Artanis, so he has a 28 points into the Guardian Shell with 2 points into Shield Overcharge. I don't think there is a particular breakpoint over here that I'm not aware of, but if there is, do let me know in the comments, please. We have Warp Speed and Energy Regeneration, and then the rest of the points there are into the Spear Fadoon Energy Mastery over here. So, let's have a look at the production now while we are waiting for the first attack wave, which will be spawning at the 4-minute mark to spawn. Artanis seems to be relatively normal, he's put down a pylon now, and he has his gateway in production. He's put down 2 gateways here. He's not actually climbing up his tech tree, which is also interesting. The other thing I have also noticed is he hasn't used his warp field yet, so this pylon probably came down as the first structure. Now the standard Artanis build here is you need to put down your warp field first, so you can put down your gateway a little bit earlier, and this provides you with a little bit of a stronger economy. We can see there's another overcharge over here now onto this pylon, and this probe also harassing this one set of gas rocks here for his ally. And this pylon should be able to clean up the rest of these structures. This pylon is actually pretty perfectly positioned here, has the range of all these gas rocks. So Alarak has used his double overcharges, and he's completely cleaned up the whole set of rocks here for himself and his ally. And this kind of early game advantage is very important on a set of mutators like this, because the mutator applies a lot of pressure. Aggressive deployment will start dropping on your army, and it can get very, very nasty very quickly. Alright, Alarak is already in position. I keep calling him Artanis for some reason. And Alarak is in position, and now he's good to go. And now we have the first warp field down here, and unfortunately we have an air Terran composition. Great Terran, yes. This is going to be really, really nasty because Terran will start nuking your base, and additionally you also have air Terran, which is probably one of the more annoying compositions. The units in the later attack waves have battle cruisers. They drop a lot of units there, and now we have our first set of aggressive deployment drops over here. And note that there is Avenger as well that is active, so you can see these units will start to grow. And combine that with Air Terran, and you are in for a very hard time. Right now, Artanis has 2 Zealots out. I don't believe he has anything else out, and he still has not put down his cybernetic score. He's instead put down 2 more gateways because I believe he wants to build more Zealots against the... Okay, there's the cybernetic score now. But that is a very late cybernetic score, and now we have 2 pylons down for Alarak, and I think Alarak is going to start overcharging this to be able to provide him with a little bit more damage output. Remember that the inspiration buff is also active, and the train does provide inspiration to the rest of these units here. First overcharge is down, and I think the second one might also be coming down. We also have a solar bombardment dropped onto this train. This solar bombardment is actually really good. It does end up taking out the rest of the stack wave as well as the train itself. So that is one overcharge that is saved for Alarak, and now Alarak can get into position now to deal with this next wave over here. Production wise, we have I thought that was Artanis' probe here that was putting down 2 more forges, but it was not. Almost did a double take over there, and this is one of the reasons why Air Terran gets really annoying. The Vikings just bypass this entire area here and just move and make a beeline for your Nexus. Now, we have the rest of the remaining bits of the attack wave that has been taken care of. And Artanis' 2 zealots are still on this location here. And now there's a bit of a problem because there was an aggressive deployment drop on this side. Unfortunately, Alarak does not have any units. Okay, so that wave have actually moved on to this side. So there's an overcharge here that ends up taking out there. And that aggressive deployment drop does actually end up getting taken out by Artanis' zealots. And now we have a small attack wave. This is a standard attack wave that comes up on this mission. It gets cleaned up by Alarak as well. So aggressive deployment will only drop if your units have a supply cost and if they have a weapon. So Alarak obviously does have a weapon, but he does not have a supply cost, which means that if you have no units out in the field, the aggressive deployment drops will basically try and drop near your nexus. Are these things in patrol? Okay, so these things are in patrol over here, which might not be a very wise idea because it means that the aggressive deployment drops will drop right on top of your base over here. And what might also happen is that because this is an air terrain composition, you might get Banshees in your mineral line, which might be, again, the makings of a huge bit of disaster over here. So we have in production right now, Alarak has produced some more gateways. He's going to have to try and get up to his ascendants. Once his ascendants get up to a reasonably strong power level, it should not be too bad for Alarak to deal with. He is able to delete entire attack waves without really struggling there. And now Artanis is warped in. He has his warp field down, drops in 2 more zealots over here. But unfortunately, these zealots are not going to last very long. There is a few orbital strikes there, but the orbital strikes completely whiff against the Banshees. Those Banshees are going to be the things that will be causing some problems. Now we have a warping of Dragoons, but these Dragoons are going to get focus fire down. And again, there is no focus fire down onto these Banshees from these Dragoons. They just basically A-clicked onto the side. And these Dragoons will end up falling. Right now, Artanis has lost 11 zealots and 4 Dragoons here. Double overcharge onto this. Unfortunately, there is no provision. Alarak has moved up to the back here to deal with his next aggressive deployment drop. So these overcharges are actually getting wasted over here. Finally, there's a warping of Artanis' zealots over there, but I think the overcharge has just expired, which is very unfortunate over there. And now the rest of these units will have to deal with this train very manually, but I think they should be able to do it before this next attack wave comes in and starts to intercept them. But again, just a bunch of zealots right now. And now we have Alarak with a bunch of Havocs as well to provide a little bit of detection, because Banshees will be getting their cloak upgrade. Oh, there was a little bit of a miss there. Alarak just has to go in and poke here. We have a few Psionic Orbs to get dropped onto the side. And there we go. Alarak just poke in now. He's end up clearing out that train. And now Artanis has a bunch of Zealots that are moved in, but Alarak has been able to clean it out. Now that is his first set of Ascendants. The one thing to note is that these Ascendants do have a very high aggro priority. Oh, what's this over here? There is another aggressive deployment drop here, but again, Artanis did have a bunch of Zealots. And did he have any Dragoons there? I don't think he had any Dragoons there. There's a bunch of Zealots. Oh no, there's the Dragoons here. So they were able to clean up these Banshees, and now the next set of aggressive deployment drops are here. But what you can see here is that these Ascendants draw a lot of aggro, so these things will get focus fired down by Amon's units, so you have to be a little bit careful. So luckily for Alarak, he hasn't actually lost any of his Ascendants yet. Getting these Ascendants up is going to be very important for the later stages of the game. If you lose your Ascendants, especially when they have 3 or 4 stacks, that is 4 minutes of time, assuming perfect macro, perfect timing on your sacrifice. That's 4 minutes of mission time that you have lost basically in your army. Notice how Alarak is moving his army off to the side over here. Artanis, on the other hand, has moved his Zealots into the Liberator zones, and those things get picked off by the rest of the Liberators here. And now Alarak has to move out of the way here. There's another Solar Bombardment. This is actually very good positioning for the Solar Bombardment. It does end up catching out the rest of this attack wave. This attack wave will end up, this escort wave, sorry, will end up getting picked off. There's a hybrid over there, which is really, really mad right now. But the hybrid will end up getting killed off by Alarak's army. And Artanis, he has lost a total of 11 Dragoons and 21 Zealots so far. And now there is just a few more orbital strikes onto this train. This train is a little bit tankier than the previous trains. For the most part, all has been cleaned up right now. So, total of 1 Ascendant has been lost, which kind of stings, but not really bad for Alarak so far. I do not know how many stacks that Ascendant had when it died, so it might be a 1 or with 0 seconds, it might not be too bad. And then we have another bunch of Sonic Orbs that get dropped here, and now there's an aggressive deployment drop on here, and Alarak has to retreat, making sure he doesn't end up losing his rest of his army over here. And now there are a bunch of invisible Banshees that are dealing a lot of damage to Alarak's army. And Artanis does do a warping over here, but Artanis does not have any detection, which is a bit of a problem. Because Artanis, actually, does he have detection? Let's have a look. Nope, he doesn't have detection. He does not have any observers, and he has not lost any observers in the process. And he also just lost his robo in that engage, which is again kind of unfortunate because there are going to be a lot of cloaked Banshees right now that will be starting to spawn with the attack waves and with aggressive deployment drops. And you can see that Spooky is venting his frustration at Air Terran, because yeah, Air Terran is one of the more difficult comps, and especially when you have Avenger, which buffs up the units and their HP, it just gets really annoying. And then you have aggressive deployment as well. You see these battle cruisers over here just having a ton of HP. I have 1,100 HP on this battle cruiser with 200 energy. It's just a really nasty set of units over here. Now we have also Empower Me on Alarak, and Alarak is able to clean up this first train without too many problems. Now remember that this is a double train wave, so it is a very scary escort wave that comes up with this train. And Artanis, on the other hand, is... oh, there's another hybrid there with another 1,000 HP, 200 shields. But Artanis is nowhere to be seen this side. He's apparently lost an Archon somewhere as well in the process. So he has warped in some Dragoons, but again, there is no micro on these Dragoons, and there's no focus fire as well onto these Dragoons. So these units are just going to end up taking out the rest of this army over here. And again, lots of Banshees doing a lot of damage over here. And there we go, another bunch of orbital strikes, but these orbital strikes are not going to help. And now there is a ghost in this base, which Alarak has ended up clearing out. I don't think Alarak has lost very much. I mean, 3 Ascendants considering the mutator set and considering the fact that he's not getting any ally assistance, and that is okay. Artanis is still trying to go and deal with this train, but he's going to walk into these enemy lines and just get completely shredded by the rest of the static defenses. And now there is a huge army on this side. There is a huge attack wave. There is a photon overcharge that gets dropped. That is not going to help a lot. There will need to be a lot of Psionic Orbs to be able to clean up this side. And you can see there's a Psionic Orb and a Destruction Wave to push it back. And now there is a nuke. And the second nuke here. And Artanis does not know what to do. He's looking at the side, but he doesn't know what to deal with. There is a last-ditch effort to try and get that ghost, but that ghost is not over there, and Artanis has lost a lot of his static defense and a lot of his production over there. He's lost 4 gateways, he's lost I think 1 robo in that, he's lost 2 forges, 1 Twilight Council, and 1 Templar Archives. He's basically been reset down to the Stone Age, and now Alarak will have to deal with this next train while Artanis completely starts to rebuild his economy. And now we have another bunch of aggressive deployment drops, and as you can see here, aggressive deployment with the Avenger stacks are just really nasty. But Alarak does have a few high stack Ascendants, and now there is another nuke on this side, and this is again a bunch of Banshees, and this is going to be a bit of a problem. But there is a ghost, and there is an instant Mind Blast from Alarak onto that ghost. He does not want to get his army nuked, because that, as amusing as it would be, as much as I was hoping to get that nuke, to see that nuke drop, I think Alarak would have lost a lot of his valuable Ascendants there, and that would have been a loss over there instantly. The Seeker Missile that gets dropped. Very nice solar bombardment does get dropped onto this train. Does take out the escort wave and weaken out a lot of the higher Avenger units over there. 1 Banshee that is left over there, and lots of Mind Blasts on this train. That train ends up getting destroyed by the Ascendants. There's 1 Banshee now just hammering away on this unit over here. But now the end is nowhere near in sight, because now there is another attack wave that is coming up, and that Banshee ends up getting Mind Blasted as well. And Artanis is still working away on this, on getting his economy up and running. He does have a Cybernetic score, which is somewhat good. He's put down 2 robos because I think he wants to get some Immortals to be able to deal damage to the train, which is a good idea. But he will need a little bit of anti-air as well, which is a little bit of a problem. Mass Dragoons over here might be a better build. And now there's another attack wave that is there on this side, and these Liberators are just dealing a lot of damage to Artanis' army. Alarak has taken out the train, which is good, but now there's another aggressive deployment drop, and Alarak's army is just got in the middle of the 2 aggressive deployment drops over there, and the Seeker Missile goes down, and we believe we had a shield overcharge that had been dropped to just provide them with a little bit of tankiness, which I think ended up saving Alarak's army, so that was some good play on Alarak's side. There is something that is harassing this side, I'm not really sure what. Oh, there's a ghost over there, so there's going to be a warping of a bunch of supplicants, but there is no detection on this side, and that ghost is going to be a bit of a problem. And now Alarak has to go and deal with this next train set that has spawned on this side. So we have another bunch of orbital strikes to end up cleaning up that ghost, and now Alarak is going to be able to clean up this train again without too many problems. There's another train here at the bottom that also needs to be addressed. It might be a little bit difficult because Artanis is on the back foot at the moment. He only owns 2 immortals. He owns 12 immortals, not 2 immortals. But he has lost a lot, and he is struggling against the ghost over here. Alarak does use his teleport now from his mothership, and that will be able to get him into position. Now there are a bunch of psionic orbs that get dropped again, and buffing the rest of these units over here. And he has to be really careful with how he takes this engage. He does not want to get flanked by attack waves. He does not want to get flanked by aggressive deployment drops such as this one. He's going to move out of the way now. He's going to be a little bit careful. He has to warp in some more supplicants, I believe, to just get some of the energy regenerated on his units here. He's going to use his pylon here to just draw a little bit of the aggro, pull his army back, and just regroup before he goes to take this engage, because now, unfortunately, there's another attack wave that's coming up this side. And again, this attack wave is, again, really scary, and this battlecruiser is as large as a Loki or Gorgon battlecruiser, because that is how nasty it is. Again, there are a bunch of psionic orbs that get dropped, and you can just see how this attack wave starts to melt now when he has high stack ascendants. But again, it is very, very difficult for Alarak to deal with just through the ascendants, because he does use up a lot of the energy on his ascendants, dealing with these attack waves, dealing with the aggressive deployment drops, and then finally dealing with the train. So he does end up struggling a lot in building up an army that is reasonably sized. So right now, Alarak seems to be okay though. He needs to warp in a lot more supplicants. Yeah, these are all supplicant warpins. They're just to provide his ascendants with a little bit of damage output over here. And we have now another ghost over here, and there's just a huge pull in the probes. But these probes are actually standing. They're not actually attacking the ghost over there. They were pulled to try and like, okay, there we go. Now these probes are actually attacking this ghost. And now this ghost is going to get killed in the most humiliating manner by a bunch of probes. Why was there not a single zealot warpin to kill the ghost? I will never know. But that is what Artanis has decided to do, and now Alarak has to go and deal with this next side. And now there's another nuke on this side, and unfortunately I don't think this cannon is going to be done before this nuke hits. This train will end up getting cleared out, I think, for the most part, but now there's an attack wave as well that's coming up on this side, and boom, the cannon was just coming up as soon as it goes to landed its nuke over there. So that is going to be a bit of a problem. Now this attack wave is also starting to harass Artanis' expansion, or his main, and there are a lot of invisible banshees over here that are dealing a lot of damage to these dragoons. These dragoons will end up getting saved by the Guardian Shell, but for how long? Because the Guardian Shell does not last very long. And now the rest of these battlecruisers do end up going down, but these banshees will end up sharing the rest of these dragoons over here. And now there's another double train wave here, and again, lots of banshees on this side. Dragoons are the right choice here, but unfortunately, you have taken a lot of casualties on this side. Again, this ghost is harassing Alarak's expansion. A total, look at the carnage over here. A total of 17 immortals were lost in that engage as well, with 38 dragoons, and there is no end in sight, because now Alarak has to go and deal with the rest of this next train by himself again. Get double overcharges, lots of ascents over here, and now he's going to use a lot of Mind Blast as well. And now there are another bunch of psionic orbs that get dropped again. Look at the size of that battlecruiser, 1,100 HP, because that has a max Avenged stack battlecruiser. But Alarak has focus fired down this train, and this train does end up going down. And I believe that is the last train that needs to be captured before the rest of this game is ended. So there we go, that is the last train. Alarak has avenged his Artanis ally after all the carnage, and that is GG.